What's going on, everybody? It's the Beastly Gamer here. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit, give you a little bit of video game news today. But before I do that, I wanted to tell you about the footage that you see. This is Tekken Tag Tournament 2. And this is a game that I play from time to time. I like to get in it. I like to wear people out. And I'm real rusty right now. Some of these matches kind of irked me. As you guys can tell, sometimes it just doesn't go your way. But I hold my own. I hold it down for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy the footage. But I wanted to talk to you guys about two subjects today. One is Titanfall on the Xbox 360, and the other is the PS4 outselling the Xbox One, and it's outselling it at such a fast rate that pretty soon this gap, like I guessed months ago, is going to be hugely wide open. It's going to be a big gap, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it. But first, let me start with Titanfall. The alpha footage was recently leaked for Titanfall, and I'm sure a lot of you guys saw this game. It looked really good. It looked really fast. The levels looked really clean and pristine. The action was, visceral and fast-paced, and you got these big mechs coming out of the sky, and you can jump in them. You can have them follow you around. It all appeared to work really well. In the alpha, I was not able to discern who was actually a non-player character or a bot. There was a section of the alpha where one of the main characters, or one of the people who were actually recording the footage, was in close quarters combat, and he took out like 7 or 8 people real fast. I'm thinking that some of those are probably bots, and that's one thing that I'm going to have an issue with. I'm going to get Titanfall on my PC, but I'm going to have an issue with playing against people versus bots because the difficulty level, the range and difficulty is going to be vastly different. And you're going to get a sense of satisfaction from actually killing a person. When you kill multiple people, you're going to actually feel like you did something because you can relate to a person. You can't relate to a bot. So that feeling of I beat you won't be there when you figure out at the end of the match how many bots you killed. And I think overall that's going to take a little bit from the game. You can quote me on that. I believe that's going to be one of the issues in Titanfall. But this article, guys, is on videogames.net. And it's the 5 reasons why Titanfall won't be a Call of Duty, will not be a Call of Duty killer. Now, in this alpha footage, when it first began, you heard a few of the guys talking about this game being the Call of Duty killer, and it may be, it may not be. But Call of Duty is a staple, and some games are better than the others. I think Black Ops 2 is probably the best one ever made. And Call of Duty holds its own. It's a game that comes out, everybody's familiar with it. Even casual gamers who don't play many other types of games, they'll get into Call of Duty and go for it and enjoy themselves. And I think it's really hard to, push them out of the way and put something else in there, especially something that is a little bit different. And it's kind of like a mech game as well, as it says at number 1, why Titanfall is not a Call of Duty killer. It says Titanfall is a lot different than Call of Duty. Titanfall is not a simple first-person shooter. It is a mech robot shooter, and it isn't going to be like Call of Duty game. It isn't going to be like a Call of Duty game. It's a whole other species of first-person shooters. Action is fast-paced, including abilities to run on walls and hijack mechs and extend periods between player deaths. While Call of Duty games are easy to pick up, play with friends, and have a good time with. That's number 1. Number 2, Xbox exclusive. Titanfall is not coming to the PS3 or the PS4. The PS3 and 4, both are important consoles, and if a game's not releasing on them, it will be like almost losing half of the market. It makes it difficult to beat Call of Duty sales figures. Number 3, missing single player. This is a big deal to me. Campaign has always been a strong point of Call of Duty games. Most people don't play them though. Titanfall's lack of a single player game makes marketing of Titanfall difficult. Words of Titanfall. This is actually the words of Titanfall's producer, Drew McCoy. So Titanfall again is going to lose some players who mainly enjoy offline gaming. Number 4, underdeveloped 13-year-olds and immature fans. Even when Call of Duty is at the downfall, with sales going down almost 19%, the game is still surprisingly selling more copies than any first-person shooter game. The reason? As long as there's underdeveloped 13-year-olds, immature fans, Call of Duty will live on. Little troll kids. Number 5, Titanfall multiplayer limited to 6 players for each team. This is what a lot of people have been talking about. I don't know how big of a deal this is going to be. I think some people are going to find issue with it only having 6 players per team. Some people won't. People who are die-hard Microsoft fans might be totally fine with it. But people who are used to bigger maps, bigger amounts of human players are going to take issue with it, and only time will tell. We'll have to wait till March, well, probably April or May, to see how this thing pans out. And like it says here, Titanfall will support a maximum of 6 players for each team, so 12 total real players. It's a bit disappointing at the low player count. So many gamers will think many times before getting it. And I do kind of agree with this article on some points. Of course, no one's perfect. We just got to sit back and kind of wait and see what's going to happen with this game. Like I said, I'm not taking anything from Titanfall. It's running at 720p, 60 frames per second. It looks really good, it looks fast-paced, and it looked fun. I'm not going to say it did not look fun. It looked really entertaining and engaging, and I'm not going to take anything away from that. Now, this article on the PlayStation 4 selling faster than the Xbox One is on sap.com, and it's written by a man named Lee Klemmer. And this guy kind of breaks down, things going on with the NPD group, and they kind of track the sales for the PS4 and give a projection of where it's going to be at shortly. The article reads, just before the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One launched back in November, it took a lot of social media data to see how the two next-generation consoles were stacking up to one another. At the time, the PS4 was being talked about more and perceived to be a more powerful console, while the games lineups of the Xbox One was getting more positive sentiment. That's due to the SAP social media analytics. That's what they think. They think because the Xbox One had, different exclusives, it was getting a better reception from people. Now that the consoles have been on the market for 2 months, I wanted to see if the PS4 chatter would be correlated with higher sales. Excuse me. It appears that they are. Both Microsoft and Sony have been playing the numbers game ever since they launched their new consoles. Each console sold over 1 million units in the first 24 hours. On January 6th, Microsoft revealed that it sold 3 million Xbox Ones in 2013, and a day later Sony revealed that it sold 4.2 million units in 2013. Just recently, Microsoft highlighted Xbox One figures published in a report by the NPD group, specifically pointing out that the Xbox One outsold the PS4 in the United States in December. Sony retorted that they were still ahead overall and blamed stock shortages on for underselling the console. So Sony said that they didn't sell as much as they wanted because they were sold out. And who's going to argue that point? Sony did sell out. It's well known that they sold out everywhere. If you call the game store and ask for one, sold out, sold out, sold out. So there are a lot of people still in line waiting on waiting lists at GameStop for their PS4 to come. So yeah, I do honestly believe that. I think the PS4 is selling ridiculously well right now. Okay, in all, I would tend to agree with Microsoft. Larry Herb, aka Major Nelson, when in a Reddit thread he commented, both new platforms are off to a great start. We all should be celebrating a healthy, vibrant industry. Nonetheless, the relative success of the PS4 took some by surprise, especially when given that both Microsoft and Sony reported around 2 million units sold in the first 2 weeks after launch. And it says you cannot compare 2013 sales figures. And there is a graph here, and I'm not going to go through all that. Well, you could, it says, but you get the wrong picture. Why? Because the PS4 was released a week earlier than the Xbox One, and at that rate it's been at the rate it's been selling, that extra week gave Sony time to sell an additional 500,000 units. This means that in the time it took Microsoft to sell 3 million units, Sony probably sold in the neighborhood of 3.6 million units, not 4.2. Let's look at the data. And there is a graph here. I will link this up in the description if you guys want to check it out. Alright. For each console, the daily sales rate remained pretty consistent between reported numbers, implying linear growth of cumulative units sold, although actual retail sales look more erratic. On December 10th, we could have already predicted year-end sales numbers fairly accurately, and although both had sold around 2 million units in 2 weeks, the details revealed that the PS4 was already selling quite a bit better at that point. Using the estimated daily sales rate, Sony had probably sold around 3.6 million units in the time that Microsoft sold 3. Put differently, Sony has sold 1.225 times as many PS4s as Microsoft has sold Xbox Ones. Incidentally, the Xbox One is 1.25 times as expensive. The advantage goes to Sony. At the moment, it looks like the PS4 is in a better position. If their reported sales rate continues at the current pace, then they've already sold over 6 million units to Microsoft's estimated 4.4, and we could expect a press release announcing 6.3 million units sold next week. So if these analytics are even close to being close, the PS4 has already hit the $6 million man mark, which is fucking ridiculous. This is a great time to be a gamer. This is really great news for Sony for 2 reasons. One, neither console is yet to launch in Japan, Sony's home turf, and Sony announced it will launch the PS4 in Japan in February 2014. Microsoft hasn't set a firm date beyond 2014. If Sony gets a good head start in its backyard, I expect more good news for Sony. I don't even know if the Xbox One is going to release in Japan. I couldn't even see it happening. The second reason that I think Sony is in a good strategic position is that I think the future of consoles is not the games themselves, but all the other content and data that it will deliver. I may have bought my PS3 for games, but my wife used it for Netflix and Amazon Video. Video games will remain an important part of the mix for sure, but recently NPD numbers suggest the Xbox One games have been selling better, are only strategically important if they translate into more consoles sold. So yeah, the Xbox One, the games are selling good. Who knows if it's moving consoles, and that's really what this is all about. You guys leave me a comment below, let me know what you think. I'm the Beastly Gamer. Enjoy the footage, and I'll see you next time.